got told off the other day in an interview that I was having with a research nurse for rubbing my eyes. Apparently does irreversible damage to your eyes.
Oh, no.
But I have to do it before the countdown every time.
Why?
No, my hoki mai. Welcome to the DCR AidStation. I'm Matt Raymond.
I'm Ellie Pottinger.
Buddy, how are you? What's been going on in your world?
What's been going on? I've just been, I guess, juggling mum life and work and trying to kind of balance that around it. And it's been good, though. It's been fun, like working with people in their passion space. So I've had a few really neat conversations this weekend that have just, been really special. So, that's been my thing. Just,
Awesome. And we got some big news. We're going to Tussock Traverse and Ring of Fire.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. So you and Rebs are in for the Tussock 21, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we're going to do that, and we're going to bring mics down, and we'll be interviewing people and just generally there getting the stoke. So that is the 28th of March at, Ohakuni? Is that how you... It's all over the shop, isn't it?
Yeah, so it depends which race you're doing. Tussock tends to kind of be based out of Waimarino, like from Whakapapa. Well, actually it starts on the other side. But anyway, all around the mountain. Yeah, and how have you been?
Yeah, I've been good. It's funny, staying, you said we're going to be staying down in Waimarino, and the building that I worked in for... and still got come in and out of for, most of the last 15, 16 years. It's called Waimarino. So, yeah. So you say you're going to be staying in Waimarino. I'm like, I always associate it to this rather large mental health building in Henderson where all the community teams are. So,
hopefully you're staying in the right one.
Yeah. I'll be staying in the one down the mountain. But I can't say I've not slept in that building because I certainly have. But... No, I'm well. Things keep ticking over and going in the right direction, and there is moments of flow and enjoyment, fleeting, and as I said to you the other day, if not grace, then maybe Timu grace, but we're getting there. But one thing I did get the chance to get out into the forest a bunch of times this week, and one of the things that I missed out on seeing because it just clashed with timing, there was a really cool event in Riverhead Forest, which was put on by the Legends at Lake Turkey, and this event had 42 teams, 53 individuals running across 3, 6 or 12 hours on a 5K loop in the Riverhead Forest, and it's sort of like the Rage Against Riverhead event that... Sean and Madeline put on, but it wasn't the Rage Against Riverhead event. It was the LoopHer, which is a woman-only event, and it looked absolutely amazing. I had some friends who ran, and I really wish I'd made it out there for a look. But this is something that potentially could be a little bit contentious in some people's eyes, although I don't feel that it really should be.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Like, it could be. I mean, why do we need women-only events?
Yeah.
But they have been happening overseas. So she races, I believe. There was one, I think the first kind of one was in Wales, which was pretty cool. And they had really broad cut-offs, really inclusive, which seemed like it had a really good uptake. And so it's great to see this happening in New Zealand. And we are, like recently, ITRA released some figures about how trail running's been growing over the past couple of decades almost, and what changes are happening in regards to female participation. And in Oceania, we do lead the way with female participation, but we've still got a way to go. I mean, and like at Tarawera, we had 50-50, which is the first by UTMB event to see that participation, equality. Ideally, it'd be great to see things pushing up in the longer distances as well, but it's so neat to see just women out there giving it a go in low pressure environments where it's inclusive and friendly and they feel safe, because that's important.
Yeah, and people got after it. That's the thing. There were so many people running around. I just cross over the tabs. I'm looking at the 12-hour relay. You know, the top team midlife in the fast lane, 132 kilometers over 12 hours.
Ooh.
And 132. And I will say this 5K loop, having done Rage Against Riverhead and the relapse, I know that relapse is 6.76666 loop, nerds. I know that, but around that part of the forest, it's not an easy loop. 12-hour solo. You got Emma Steadman coming in 104K in the 12 hours, and Emma McKaye, who happens to be my physio. Shout out to Emma. 88K. It's huge. And the 3-hour solo, 32K, Kate Worrell in 3 hours, which is no joke. And the 6-hour relay, 64K, Forest Ninjas, and the solo, Kate Bellavecqua, 56K in 6 hours in Riverhead. That is absolutely nothing to sneeze at. This isn't like a path run. This is a proper single track and some climbs. So people are getting after it, but like 43 teams, that's huge. So there's certainly an appetite.
Or what's the numbers there? So
well, it's up to 4. So yeah. But
so I mean, I guess
across.
that's probably a good answer to the question: why should we have female-only events? And if the numbers are proving that there's a demand, then there's your reason.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily think that it's actually going to decrease participation in normal events either. I think it's going to increase participation because if someone is a bit more reticent to try an event because, they can be pretty male dominated, and especially your kind of backyardy, loopy relay ones tends to be very kind of, it's very condensed. There's lots of people. There can be quite a few shirts off. There can be quite a bit of that business, which can be a bit off-putting for people. It's off-putting for me. And certainly if I've got my shirt off, it's off-putting for other people. But not that that's ever going to happen. But, it's that sort of environment that not everyone feels comfortable with that. Yeah. So I think it's awesome. And kudos to Sean and Madeline for cracking it on. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, like I shouldn't kind of forget that Stephanie Grace down in Christchurch, she'd put on the Crazy Chicks backyard as well. So there has been, this concept has been explored in the South Island. And she we chatted with her actually to kind of work out what we thought might be quite a good loop distance for the hour. And so she changed her backyard structure to, I'm trying to remember how many Ks it is for the loop, whether it's 6 or 5, just because people will feel a bit more confident going and doing it. So yeah, it's cool to see these race organisers trying different things and for encouraging female participation. And yeah, like I said, I guess the numbers should be speaking for themselves, that there is a demand.
And if anyone who's listening to this is getting exercised by the fact that in some way a piece of the pie is being taken, it's not a zero-sum game. And even someone like Joe Rogan, when he was talking about men's rights, he said famously, I think we've still got all of them. So, yeah, maybe, I don't know, sit down, whatever. But no, LoopHer in Riverhead, hopefully that is something that is going to keep on going, and I'm so stoked. So, well done. And going to be challenging going forward because that part of the forest, that block around Ararima Valley Road where the Riverhead Relapse is famously run, Riverhead Rampage ran, is being felled this year. So much like you would have experienced in Whakarewarewa when all the, some trails went that were pretty legendary, there's a whole bunch of them that are going to be exiting this year. So
the joys of a working forest.
The joys of a working forest. However, the West Coast riders are getting out there. They continue their work. So there's some great trails in there already popping up on different areas of the forest. So yeah, there's that. You've put here the chase for the golden ticket. Now I'm assuming it's not sort of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory style golden ticket, it's that other golden ticket, the Western States golden ticket. What did you want to say about that?
Now that you mentioned it, one of my friends had said, like, what is this business? I've just run 100 Ks and they're all covered in sweat and just absolutely tired. And then they get a golden ticket to run 100 miles. Like, I'd way rather the chocolate bar and sit on the couch.
Absolutely, Wonka bar.
But I mean, it is like, it's kind of interesting, I guess, having spent time with Lucy recently, showing up at Tarawera, and that has had some really hot competition for the golden tickets. And it's super interesting, like people from all over the world are wanting them and traveling for them and racing super hard for them. And just, yeah, I mean, because like Lucy was saying, like trying to work out her future plans, and hopefully I'm not giving too much away. It's just from a friend's chat. But I think it's interesting, like how we have these elite athletes that are working super hard and showing up to races and then going, okay, well, where's the next opportunity? And Justin Grunewald kind of touched on it in his interview on DCR. I'm not like Matt and I don't have the number handy. But he was saying, like we should have a more competitive field at Western States because, I mean, the eyes of the world are watching Western States, but how deep is that competitive field? Should we have more elite runners on the start line there, or should we see, because we also know that there's a massive lottery and people are trying for years and years and years and sometimes decades to get in. What do you reckon, Matt?
Well, I mean, and I wish he was here to talk to it, but we have we know someone with a silver buckle.
Yeah.
Well, we know a few people with a silver buckle, but we know someone intimately with a silver buckle, and that's Andrew McDowell. And he talked for years about the angst that it took and that sort of sense of hoping. And I think it's this dichotomy, isn't it? On the one hand, if you're good enough, you've got a chance to get in, and it's a smaller pool, but it's a smaller chance, isn't it? If you know that you're going to, say, race at Tarawera and it's between you and 5 other people or something like that, then it's you're thinking, well, if it goes my way, then that's a good thing. But also the bar to entry, the bar to qualify is so relatively low. Like I remember the first time I did Tarawera 100, or the first time I did the full race and had the worst race of my life. Terrible. I crossed in like 14:30 or something like that. And I know.
Terrible. So disgusting, Matt. It's horrific.
I know. This
Be
is the thing.
ashamed.
I'm going to start talking about that. I'm really going to start talking about, and when I say terrible, I'm talking about the madness of my own mind.
Yes.
There, I'm not talking about my actual result and how well I went, even though I think it Humphreys Bay was in 30th or something like that. Like I was doing really well and then just completely shat the bed. But I remember qualifying for Western States and going, oh, wow. That's amazing. I never thought that I'd, qualify for that. Now, the chances of me getting into Western States, 0. But it's interesting, isn't it? They've got this kind of, on the one hand, you've got this super hard to get to, but relatively lower odds golden ticket. And then you've got this massive, this really open, it's almost like an open bar to get in. If you I think, what's the cutoff? Like, is it 17 hours at Tarawera 100? 102, 17 hours to qualify, or 16. Yeah. It's either 16 or 17 hours. It's quite a generous cutoff. And then, you've got next to no chance. But I do think that I think it's that thing, isn't it? You look at the field of the quote unquote elite runners, and it is fast at the front. Well, it's fast all the way through. Andrew McDowell, what did he do? 22:10, I think. Sorry, bro, don't quote me on that, but it was around 22:10. So, amazing effort. But then if you've got old mate Jim Ormsley doing 14 something, it's I don't know. It's long been something I think that most runners have resigned themselves to. They will never get to experience. unless they are the the cream of the crop and get that top 10 entry. But I also think about someone like Dan Jones or Caitlin, going back again and again and again, how that is useful for them until probably it isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I guess that's that you have kind of the previous performers that are in there, but do we have the depth of challenge for other people? Who knows?
And the young up and comers.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Should it be that?
I don't know.
Should it be that? Should it just be not just be? Should it be a legacy race? Should it be one of those things that you have that whole amount? Wasn't there talk of having like a separate Western States, like an elite Western States and a non-elite Western States?
Imagine that.
Yeah. Well, that's like running. What do they call them? The sportifs in like Tour de France. You will have the elite tour, and then they do sportifs, I think they're called, where it's just like randos doing cycling on the Tour de France courses.
That would be quite cool because I can imagine lots of those elites would come out. Like, say if it was in 2 days later or something, or a day later, then they'd be out there kind of cheering for the recreational athletes, which would be quite cool.
That would be pretty cool. I can also see the argument, and I can hear Andrew ringing in my ears saying, no, leave it. The standard is the standard. And, so I don't know. I think it's that thing with Western States, isn't it? The more people get exposed, the more people look at it, the more people enter it. They're just going to have to keep doing what they do or change the nature of it entirely. So I don't know where I stand on it. I'm probably leaning more towards Andrew's thing of leave it where it is, leave it how it is, don't touch it. But it's interesting, elite athletes shaping their season and non-elite athletes for a chance to enter Western.
Yeah.
I mean, God, if I got the chance to do it, I'd probably quit my job to devote a year to train. Not that I'd be able to afford that if I quit my job but it would be something that it'd be nice to say you're done.
See, I have no desire. I guess it's just there's nothing. I'd love to go and watch it or like crew or something like that and just to experience it. But I guess all I've had is the coverage over the years and watching my friends and athletes from New Zealand and Australia and cheering them on. Does it? I don't know, scenery-wise, does it appeal to me? Yeah. Like, it's a tough crowd, eh?
Oh, well, and that's the thing, when you actually look at the space, and I think that's something that's the live streaming has done a really beautiful job of. You actually get to understand what this space looks like.
Yeah.
Because when you hear the canyons, or Devil's Thumb or Rucky Chucky, I mean, certainly the river everyone knows what the river crossing looks like.
Yeah, that looks fun.
Yeah. It looks hectic if it's too deep. I mean, I guess they boat you across if it's too hectic, but oh my goodness. So yeah, thoughts on that? It'd be great to hear from your team around that. What do you think? Is it a Ponzi scheme? Is it something that we should leave well enough alone, or do we have room for wiggle room on that? Room for wiggle room. Do we want a Western States and then a separate Western States? But then you'd have to also, it couldn't be the Western States.
Which one would be?
Well, the original one would be, it's like Coke and Diet Coke, isn't it? Interesting topic you've brought up next. How much should we tell our coach?
Yeah,
would you care to discuss this?
So Matt, when I put that in, you laugh emoji'd it. But it was interesting actually, like when I was doing Taylor and Charlie at Old Ghost with Mark and Ruth, we were talking about kind of different coaching approaches and how some people have quite a scientific and clinical approach and some people, have that but more of a holistic approach. And, what I was kind of asking Ruth about her thoughts on it, it was really interesting to kind of hear her speaking in that space and what she'd taken from different coaches over the years and and how it kind of worked for her. And then she was asking me, well, what are your thoughts? And I was like, well, I think for me, I feel like the more that you are aware of what's going on in someone's life, the more that you can kind of balance the loading and the stresses to meet them where they're at, because it is relevant having an understanding of what's going on in their life when it comes to coaching and applying stress to them.
Yes. Yeah, it's a balance. And I have a different perspective on that because I'm someone who has, at times, an incredibly hectic job.
Yes.
Where a bad day for me can be a very ordinary bad day, could be a very ordinary stressful day with like competing demands with my time with administrative tasks, curveballs in terms of budgets, difficult conversations with team members, all that sort of thing can be a bad day. The other side of bad days that I can have is that sort of very limit of human experience, really. And I've always found, and I wonder if other people are, if there are more people out there listening who are, first responders, law enforcement, fire, all that sort of stuff, military, if that's something that you think in terms of, I have lots of normie friends who I don't talk about my work with at all because it's guaranteed to shut down any conversation that you enter into. And I've fallen into that trap a couple of times before going, oh, this is what happened to me today. And there's just absolute silence. So it's funny that, how much do you tell your coach? Yeah. I remember that before the Tarawera 50K, I had been up with work the Wednesday. The race was on the Saturday, and the Wednesday, I was up for like 32 hours straight. In a very, 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 very high stress situation. Now that 32 hours, certainly that wasn't. So I got up at normal time and then done stuff and then gone to work and then gone straight into an on-call situation as well, and then had gone through. I think I got out of the police cells about 10 a.m. in the morning, and then I had to go back to work and write up notes and do all of that stuff and finish the shift. And so it was, and then get home. And I remember sort of talking to my coach at the time about it, and I got medically withdrawn from that race, Tarawera 50, at Hotwater Beach, because I was thrown up and it was all, and the medic was like, no, you're done, son. Took my thing. And the notion is like, you should only be carried off in an ambulance sort of thing. And you don't want to go, well, I guess all stress is relative, but it's like the week that I had leading up to that was just pushed me to beyond, I think, what I could cope with. And if you want to know, Ellie, I shared what was happening whilst I was down there with Sean McWilliams, so he'll tell you it was quite, and in retrospect, the sort of and it wasn't directly, but it was some of the secondary stress that I was experiencing down there with some of the noise in that environment. And it got to the point where I was like, I completely lost touch of where I was. I was going for a walk with a dog. I forgot where I was. I was hallucinating. There was all this stuff happening leading up to this week.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know. It was really full on. So I don't know. I don't know if that would have helped or hindered, or sharing that with the coach would have been helpful or not. I'm not sure.
I mean, it sounds. I think it probably would be, and the fact, like to me, I would probably go, Matt, given the past week you've had, would you just normally go for a long run today after all of that, or would you need some time? Which I don't want to encourage people to, I want people to push their boundaries and to seek growth and to enjoy their sport. And I think it's hard sometimes when we have this big race and maybe you kind of lost a bit of sight of
Complete
yourself
loss of
there.
perspective.
Yeah.
But there's also the thing, you've paid for the accommodation, you've done all this stuff, and that's that thing, isn't it, where we say to citizen athletes, you should act like a pro athlete.
Yeah.
And the corollary of that is, okay, cool. Most times, if a pro athlete's at a race with their team, they're not paying for their accommodation. Most times, not exclusively, but it's certainly an interesting one. It's certainly, and you don't also want to be that client. You don't want to be that person that's just like that end of the bell curve with hectic combos all the time.
That's true, because I mean, coaches aren't therapists. We're not. But I think, like for me, I like to take the tone or the kind of feedback that I'm getting from people most days and go, okay, well, how are we trending here? And that can be quite helpful, just kind of, having that, I guess, like dipstick into somebody's mental space.
Certainly was a dipstick, you're right. That's the one race bib I've ever framed. So
you framed it? Wow.
Yeah.
Why did you frame it?
Because every time, and it sits in we've got like a bureau thing. You'd hesitate to call it a credenza. Maybe it's more of a bureau. It sits against one of our walls, and it's where all our kind of special things go in. And so if I'm sitting on the couch, I'm looking at it, and I got it framed because it teaches me it's that thing of look after yourself. That's the lesson that I took from that, is you can't, you can only do so much. So yeah, maybe that was the lesson I needed.
There you go.
Yeah. I think for me personally, I think what I desire in a coach, and I think I've been quite lucky in this regard mainly, is that our value set aligns. It's what you can look at different methods, and there's all different methods, but it's really, isn't it? There's all sorts of different stocks and different meats, but it's the same stew that you're cooking every single time with coaching. Hey, it's that thing of, is this person someone I trust? Is this person someone that I would like to, that I would really like to, spend my money, spend my time and enter into a relationship to? And I think that's important too. And from a client perspective, it's okay. And I'm sure from a coaching perspective as well, isn't it? Like sometimes you're like, this isn't working.
Yeah, that's right. And then and I guess when it comes to that kind of side of things, it's you want, to be seeing success or it to be aligning, because that is where your value set lies, and also what you want for the athletes that you work with. So it's you've got to align. But I wonder if it's different from an elite perspective, if they're like, we're just purely chasing performance. I don't really, I don't know.
Well, thinking about that with Lucy, who did talk publicly about her race at Tarawera, then you'd think if you were purely chasing performance and going off the stats, she probably would have been right up there in terms of a golden ticket. Yeah. But, God love her, she'd had so much going on with her dad and everything like that. And so maybe that's the missing part of the pieces. But also you're right. Like, coaches shouldn't be expected at the same time to be sports psychologists, because oftentimes people aren't. Yeah. And so maybe that's the thing, working on those sort of
having a multi-professional team. That is important, and I think that's where it's good to go. Actually, like, what's the unturned stone, and where can you go for that? It doesn't always have to be the coach that fulfills that part of the puzzle.
Definitely. So what is following on the socials, what's the protocol? And I think the fact that you've called it the socials.
Oh, do I make myself so ancient?
Yeah, we are ancient.
Okay. So I was thinking about it, right? Like, because I don't know. Like, I've always questioned this. Like, Instagram, you get a follower. Is it expected that you follow them back? Because some old mate, Jane from down the road might not want you seeing her baby photos or her, I don't even know what. And the same with Strava, right? Like, if somebody follows you, should you follow them back? What do you reckon, Matt?
I think it depends on what. So for me, I know that probably Strava is the one, and ironically, I don't know why, because it's the most bog average Strava you'll ever see. I've got quite a few followers on Strava, and I don't tend to follow as many people back. I mean, my Strava's set to everything's set to private, so people do request to follow me. So if people generally want to follow me, I'll absolutely be totally fine with that, and it's a great privilege. I don't tend to follow so many people because I don't have the time. I don't have any push notifications on my phone, so that's something that I'm always fighting against, is like, how much time am I devoting to my phone versus real life and actually achieving stuff and getting stuff done. So same with Instagram. I think on DCR, it depends. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I miss because, again, we are, we're not super online for a podcast. We're more sort of old school. We'd probably be doing better if we were responding every 5 minutes and doing reckoning videos. But then that's the thing, we don't have the space for it. I'm more inclined to follow people on my personal Instagram, but then I go through periods where I'll go through and I said, do I talk to this person? Do I interact with them? Do I? And I will sort of cull things down. I've tended to move away from following brands on my personal Instagram. Like, I will cull a lot of brands. I don't want to see I don't want to be sold things. I mean, not that we're not being sold things all the time, but that's generally my kind of tikanga on it. And also, if it's a egg, if it's a blank thing with who's following 14,000 people, but they've got 2 followers, I'm probably going to block them immediately because it's a bot.
Okay, yeah. fair. And I guess the other thing to kind of question when it comes to that, like, I know especially like around a big race build up or something like that, people will get all these different ideas or opinions or that kind of thrown at them about what they've been doing on their Strava or what they should be doing on Instagram. And so I guess it's a case of just taking a moment to go, is this adding value to my life? Is it, and who am I going to trust and value? Or to, there's the saying, love many, trust few, always paddle your own canoe. And I think that's quite a good one.
I've not heard that.
Have you not? I really like it. And although I should reframe it to waka for our New Zealand listeners, but I think that's probably a good way to apply things to your running as well, because it's so easy to be influenced. And the amount of, like, we've seen so many trends with running over the years and decades, and some of them helpful, some of them a heap of crap. And some people were just like, yes, there's a new thing, I'm going to do that. And, they're like little magpies and get carried away by every new kind of fad.
Well, look at the battle, the epic battle at the top of the Tarawera field in the Mila between Nose Strip Guy and Sparkly Headband Guy. I mean, love them both dearly, but, but
this is the thing, right?
Who am I to say?
And when you're chasing percentages, these are the things that people will do.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And God love them, You do you, boob.
Exactly.
But and I guess the difference there is that is the 1%. If you're kind of more of the proletariat and you're looking for your kind of 1%ers, that's not what I've learned through trial and error and repeating the errors is you're not going to find those in a nose strip or a sparkly headband. You're going to find them in other places. That's not actually to say that if a sparkly headband or a nose strip doesn't increase your psychological well-being that you should indulge.
Yeah, I was about to say there could be a placebo effect as well that's worthy.
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for that, but I think that's true. Tuning out the noise is really useful, and that's a lesson I learned the hard way. You know, I remember my panic again. That tarawera, I remember my panic to kind of just get some race fuel, and I ended up buying something that I hadn't really used before, and it just turned the race upside down. It was horrible. And we got there on watermelon and macadamia nuts.
Oh.
And if anyone's looking for some packets of strawberry-flavoured Hammer Perpetuum, there's probably some still in the bushes at Hannah's Bay. Not Hannah's Bay, Humphreys Bay, because it's right up them.
Oh.
Yeah, but you live, you learn.
You live and learn, you do.
You live and learn. You do. I want to talk about something, and this is finger off the pulse because it was a very online thing, but this affected me personally, and I took personal umbrage at this. The whole thing with we've talked about Satisfy running before.
Yeah.
Right. So they're the luxury running brand out of France. Bryce Partouche, who is the impresario of that, and he recently had an epic meltdown online. He was attacking another running brand named Currently Running.
Okay, I've never even heard of them.
Yeah, around basically he was stating that they were copying some of his designs. They were, sort of ripping off Being Satisfied Light at a much more affordable price point, and he was calling them parasites and everything. Now, I'm not really... that is what it is, right? Like you can, and intellectual property is intellectual property, and your brand kind of identity is your brand identity, and if someone is colouring a bit too close to the lines or ripping off, then, I'm not suggesting that anything, there should never be a point where you're like, hey, back off or whatever. It was the public nature of it that he posted all these phone calls on his account. But then the thing that really pissed me off was then he's quoting lyrics from a song by The Blueprint, a song called The Blueprint by a band, my favourite band, Fugazi, from an album they did called Repeater, and it's never mind what's been selling, it's what you're buying. And I just want to say, like, dude, you look like you're an extra in a vampire porno, and you sell $500 running shorts to tech bros and dentists, and you claim this punk rock aesthetic. You claim to be an outsider, or you claim to be some sort of countercultural revolutionary, but you're a part of the machine, mate. Fugazi, Ian McKaye, he was in Minor Threat. They had their own record label, Discord. Fugazi never took a record deal. They only ever played all ages shows. They kept their prices very affordable. They never had light shows. They never sold any merchandise. They would, the point where if you got chucked out of a Fugazi show because you were being, I don't know, a racist or a sexist or a dickhead, once you got chucked out of the show, you would get handed an envelope and it would have your money back in it. So they would have the money in the envelope. They had an ethos of inclusion. They wanted as many people coming to their shows as possible. They wanted as many people listening to their music as possible, and they did things their own way. Tell me what's inclusive about selling your clothes at such an extreme price point, but yet marketing it like you're some sort of Brokeback Mountain / Lost Boys fantasy camp. Who are you selling that to? And to the point where, when I'd order music from Discord Records, it would come packaged in leftover record sleeves from old Minor Threat records with a handwritten note from Amy, who worked in the distro house, saying, "Hey, thanks very much, Matt. Really appreciate it." It's just it's the maybe the cultural amnesia of it, or just the bold-faced ignorance of it. But man, if you're I don't know, like, sit down, man. That's not cool. And so, yeah, I mean, do what you're going to do. You know, be the ice cream, be the Gucci of the running world, but keep Fugazi's name out of your mouth, bro. That's just not cool.
It's not the right alignment there.
No, well, not for me anyway.
No.
And I'm willing to debate this ad infinitum with anyone who wants to come and have a go, because that really pissed me off. But yeah, it's just the absolute, like, you sell something that is so exclusive, and then you're saying, you know, you're kind of saying it's not what you're selling, it's what you're buying. Bro, people can't afford your shit. Most people. Most
I know.
runners.
When you kind of, like, was it a year ago you were talking about Satisfyed? I was like,
Yeah.
oh, what is this? I'll go and have a look. And then I was like, far out. Like, I quite like that it's a like a different kind of a fashion, like a different approach. Like, we're not just all kind of wearing the same stuff. It's more unique and individual. But heck, that's some pricey stuff compared to any other running brand.
Yeah, I love it. I think it looks cool. I love the aesthetic. I think it's cool as hell. But it's this, I don't know. It just struck me as being quite tone deaf. And I know this is, you know, finger on the pulse, the internet moves on, and this is 2 weeks after the fact. But I was sitting with it. I was thinking, this is one of the true things that's really pissed me off. You know,
it's triggered you, Matt.
It really has. It's like, no,
spicy, Matt.
that's not what this is about. But I guess to each their own too. So if you want to, you know, who am I to yuck anyone's yum? But please don't be throwing Fugazi lyrics around, because it's many of us, including myself, don't stand up to that standard of inclusion and equality that they set. So, rant over.
There we go. It's not often we get a Matt rant.
No, it's not. I think that might be, I don't know, one of the only ones I've ever done, but it felt pretty good, actually. I just,
you get it out there. I always say feelings are like farts, better out than in.
Better out than in. But look, Dirt Church Radio is me, Matt Raymond.
Me, Ali Pottinger.
With our old mate, Andrew McDowell. Stay tuned for the regular DCR podcast over the upcoming weeks, when we've got some super cool guests in the bag and ready to share Mā te wā.